We want to spend some time now looking at nutrition for livestock during these winter months. Joining us now is Dave Lalman, our extension beef cattle specialist. And Dave, a lot of producers in the middle of feeding hay right now. What kind of things should they keep in mind?
Well, we have, somewhere between 90 and maybe 120 days before all the lush green up that we're going to experience this spring. And so quite a ways to go yet. And I think, one thing producers certainly need to monitor is the body condition of their cows. Hopefully they're still in moderate body condition now, in other words, not thin. And if we use a condition score scale of 1 to 9, that'd be about a 5, right in the middle. And that's where we like to hold them until spring green up. So try not to lose any ground.
Now, of course, there are some challenges in a drought year and not such great wheat crop, and that's obviously a concern as well.
Yeah, wheat kind of bailed us out last year in cool season forages just because it was an inexpensive source of protein, and some people had to use it to replace, lower quality forage too. So it was a nice thing to have, and we just don't have that opportunity this year. But it's just going to be a matter of making sure that they do have adequate forage supply, whether it's purchased hay or standing forage, to get the inventory of cattle that they have through to the spring in that moderate body condition. And to do that, if they're feeding hay, they need to know the nutrient concentration in the hay, the requirements of the animal, and then based on that information, match the forage quality with a supplement that's appropriate for that situation.
Okay, so you got to do the pen and paper and figure all that out.
Yep.
Now, obviously, efficiency is really important, feeding efficiency, and you and your team out here at the North Range have studied that in several different ways. Kind of get us up to speed on the research underway right now.
Okay, well, sure. One of the things that we have been working on the last couple of years is just trying to stretch that forage supply and like you mentioned, improve forage utilization efficiency, if you want to think of it that way. And according to the research that have been done, there's 3 ways that are rather practical that most people could do 1, maybe 2, and some maybe even implement all 3 things. And those 3 things are simply, number 1, use a better hay feeder that minimizes hay waste. We found differences of 21% hay waste with some feeders all the way down to 5% hay waste in other feeders. So just using a better hay feeder is one way to stretch the forage supply. Another thing is to feed an ionophore. The ionophore that's cleared for beef cows is called rumensin, and so it's just a feed additive that you can order from the feed company. Costs about 2 cents per cow per day to include, and it could cut back on the amount of hay that you need by about 10%. So it could be a substantial savings. And then the third thing that could be done is to limit animals' access to hay. Instead of letting them have 24/7 access to it, cut back to maybe even only 6 hours per day should be able to reduce or stretch that forage by another, say, 10% or so.
Okay, so you have a study set up like that out here looking at all 3 of those factors, and you've got some early results in?
We do, yeah. We had one treatment, we call it, a group of pens that got what we call standard management. And Lyndall, that was simply 24/7 access to the hay, kind of a moderate quality hay feeder, and no rumensin or no feed additive. That was a standard group. Then the treatment group actually got all 3 of those things. They got, in our case, we use 7 hours a day access to the hay. We just like the pen you see in the background here, we just put up some cattle panels. We'd open the gate at a certain time, then at 7 hours later, we'd push the cattle out and shut the gate again. So pretty simple process. And then the third thing we did was use a hay feeder. Here you see in the background a hay feeder with a modified cone and a solid sheet on the bottom, designed to minimize hay waste. And so that was the third treatment, was all 3 of those things together.
And you found it was good utilization?
It improved forage use efficiency. What happened was the cows that had restricted access, this treatment that you see here, consumed 18% less hay and weighed exactly the same as the other group at the end of an 84-day period. So 18% and no difference in weight gain. It actually was pretty exciting.
I see the dollar signs adding up already, which is always good news for producers.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, well, thanks for getting us up to speed on those two topics, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Dave Lalman, our Extension Beef Cattle Specialist.